illuminated by the glory of God's love.
Step into the truth.
From within, your abundance overflows. Our love can change one life. One life can change the world. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. I am the light of the world. You are the light of the world. We are the light of the world.
So move with me.
Step with me. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. I am the light of the world. You are the light of the world. We are the light of the world.
So move with me.
Step with me. Step into the light.
Well, hello and welcome to Vida Spiritual Learning Center. I trust you're having a great Sunday thus far. And the Vida Spiritual Learning Center welcomes everyone. We meet you right where you are, mind to mind, heart to heart, and soul to soul. At Vida, we celebrate diversity, for we know we have that experience that it enriches our community beyond measure. So welcome to one and all to Vida Spiritual Learning Center. Glad you are here today. And I would like to move right into something that's spiritual. And this is by way of reminding ourselves of our vision and mission. And this vision and mission is one that has evolved over time and has been a creation of our community, of our combined efforts. And I'm just going to read it to you right now. And I'm going to read it first in English and then in Spanish. So just close your eyes if you're comfortable with that and just allow these words to wash over you. By valuing and empowering all, we inspire a fulfilling and joyous life. And in Spanish, al valorar y potenciar todo, inspiramos una vida plena y alegre. So I trust that that has some resonance with you. It has a lot of resonance with me, and it is certainly something that our community leans into as a direction, as a guidance, as an aspiration, as an intention. And then continuing along those lines in spiritual practice, I'm just going to lead us in a little bit of meditation right now. So I invite you just to get quiet and still where you are. Close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that. And what I'm just going to ask you to do is just become aware of that natural pattern of your breathing. Just noticing each in-breath and each out-breath. And you might say silently to yourself, that I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out. I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out. I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out. And should you become distracted in any way, just notice that distraction. And with deepest compassion, return your awareness to that natural pattern of your breathing. Just breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. As you continue to follow that natural pattern of your breathing, just breathing in and breathing out, allow the image of water to come into your conscious awareness. It might be a waterfall or a stream or a refreshing glass of water. It might be a river or a lake or the ocean. It might be that shower that you take each day. But just allow that image of water to come into your conscious awareness while breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And as this image of water fills your inner vision, notice the flow, the sensation of feelings in and around you. Just allow that to uplift your consciousness as you continue to breathe in and breathe out. Breathing in and breathing out. And in this calm and receptive state, just allow these words of invocation to float across your consciousness. So resting in this sacred poise, as you and I now do, there is this sense of a greater being, a greater knowing, a greater feeling, indeed a greater good that we know as God. And God is that presence and power. It is that compassion. It is that quality of love and peace and joy, that quality of health and well-being, that quality of abundance and prosperity. And that quality is everywhere and within. And knowing God to be everywhere and within, I know that I am one with it and one of it. And what is true for me is true for you too, that you are one with and of living spirit. We are all creations and meditations in the universal mind. And therefore we are imbued and in the flow of love and peace and joy and compassion, of health and well-being, of abundance and prosperity. So I speak my word knowing that our time together today is an activity of God. It's an activity of living spirit, that you and I are engaged and immersed in that activity right here and right now. That this time together serves to open hearts and minds that much more. It serves to enrich each of our lives and our collective community's life. It is that time to reveal a greater good, to activate that in your life and my life and our lives. So knowing that's the truth of our time together and blessing the world as we are blessed, I just say thanks for this answered prayer. Thanks for this opportunity to gather, this opportunity taken to live more life of God. And so I release my word into the law of mind and action, knowing as it is spoken, as it is thought, it is so. That has set in motion already that infinite creative, that universal life force for good. And that revelation of that good is happening for you and me right here and right now. And I say, and so it is, and now it is. Just invite you to return your awareness to our meeting. Thank you for that. Thanks very much. I did have just a couple of announcements for today. A reminder that next Sunday from 2, that's August 21st, from 2 to 6 p.m., we will be gathering at 1524 East Hellman Street for a open house, a meet and greet. Please invite your friends and family to spend a few minutes or a few hours in fellowship. We'll also be sharing our plans for the coming months and perhaps years. I don't know how far out we'll be able to map that, but that's our intention. That might include classes and workshops and gatherings and groups. It's any of those things that are being planned and formulated right now. So I invite you to come and share that time together with us, and we'll share what information we have with you. There is a link in your weekly email to a survey, and what we're trying to do is, going forward, find out the best times for us to be in fellowship. So there are a few options there. It's a pretty easy survey to fill out. The link is in your email, and if you do a screenshot, you'll be able to grab it from here. But I encourage you to take that so we know when is a good time for us to get together. As usual, Reverend Sunshine will be hosting her spiritual remedy at 9 a.m. on Monday at the Vida SLC Facebook site, and it's live streamed. So join her there then at 9 a.m. And Reverend Sunshine is continuing to do in-person meditation. Everyone's invited. Those occur Wednesday at noon, and that'll be at least through the end of August, and that is at 1524 East Hellman Street in Long Beach. And I just want to take a moment to be in appreciation and gratitude for all those folks who serve. Angelica could not be with us this morning, so please send her and her family your prayers. She is dealing with a little challenge with her family, and we and I are knowing that it is resolving beautifully. But give our thanks to Angelica just the same, and keep her in your prayers if you will. And thanks to me for doing the message today. I will move on. Thanks to anyone that's out there looking at our live streams. Appreciate you interacting with the folks that are joining us on the live stream. And thanks for those who are on the live stream too. Appreciate you being there. Thanks to our Leadership Council for continuing to be excellent stewards of the Vida Spiritual Learning Center as we are continuing to evolve into what our vision is for this community. Thanks to our technical team, and for those that are interested, Barry is expecting his first child today, so they are in the process as we speak, so include them in your prayers as well. And thanks to all of you for joining us here today. Makes all the difference for me, and I trust it does for you. So getting back to spiritual practices, giving as a spiritual practice. Here's the ways that you can give, which is you can send your gift to 1524 East Hellman Street. That's in Long Beach, California, 90813. Or you can use your bill pay service. It gets sent to that same address. You can use the donate buttons or the links on the website or in the email, and you follow that link and you can donate with your credit or debit card. And we also accept Zelle. So if your bank has Zelle, our bank has Zelle, you can Zelle to Zelle, and that can be a way to donate. And I'll put those links up in the chat here in a minute. Now this becomes a spiritual practice with as your consciousness evolves to that as a spiritual practice. So the consciousness with which you give elevates this to a spiritual practice. And for me, the quality that makes giving a spiritual practice is generosity. I'm just feeling generous, and therefore what I'm giving is freely given. But the quality for you might be something like abundance or prosperity, or you're feeling plenty, or you're feeling something of a positive flow in your life, and giving is continuing that flow or expanding that flow, or it might be completing a connection or a circuit. So I invite you just to call to mind and heart what that feels like to you in the most positive sense. And we will say, and I invite you to unmute for this part, we will say our statement of giving together simultaneously in English and in Spanish. I'm going to say it in English, and here we go. Abundance flows in my life. I am blessed with prosperity. I give with generosity. Yes, I tithe on faith, belief, and with a consciousness of love. My gift is a divine circulation through me that now benefits and grows our spiritual community and beyond. And now it is. Thank you so much for that. And here is today's message. Hello, and welcome to our weekly celebration of Living Spirit at Vida Spiritual Learning Center. It's wonderful to be with you today. Now, in 2022, we have been following the theme of everyday wonder, part of why it's wonderful to be with you today. And during the month of August, the focus is on nature. And the topic this week is the water of life. Now, last time I talked about your relationship with nature, but this time I'm talking about the physics and metaphysics of nature, and in particular water. You know, at either end of this human phase of your soul's journey, you're just a bunch of seemingly disorganized stardust. Ralph Waldo Emerson says, everything in nature contains all the powers of nature, and everything is made of one hidden stuff. You might want to call that God stuff. So for a divine high purpose, some stardust is organized into you and me and nature and all of the material world, at least for a little while. And no matter what distinction you may conjure up between yourself and nature, humans are nature. And so this week I explore the nature and the supernatural of water. Now, for me, establishing a mentality that nature and I are all the same thing, I will say is a work in progress. As far back as I can remember, I have gravitated to human-made gadgets that do something. And of those, in particular, are gadgets that have wheels and that can transport me, whether it was a tricycle or roller skates or a bicycle or a mini bike or a car or a motorcycle or a riding lawnmower or, to a lesser degree, things like boats and planes. Now, even though those gadgets are also organized stardust and therefore are part of nature and an aspect of God, it is not as if I can plant a seed and grow a motorcycle, right? Alan Watts says, you didn't come into this world, you came out of it, like a wave from the ocean. You're not a stranger here. Now, my thinking has evolved and continues to evolve. I affirm that I am part of nature and nature is a part of me. I affirm that I am in concert with nature and that nature is in concert with me. And as I affirm this, I feel more of an affinity and an appreciation of the natural world. So something I do now is I talk to nature. Whether it's an animal or a plant or a mineral, just like I talk with you now. And I find that as I converse with nature, I have a greater reverence that everything is alive in some way, both materially and ethereally. Everything is alive in some way. I am now mindful that my choices and my actions can change or alter those forms of life that maybe previously I didn't recognize as life, right? But I now recognize my part in the life that transitions, right? I see where my life fits into the appearance of all these other lives. And in so doing, I open to being more compassionate, to make more compassionate choices, and be more mindful of the ways in which I am interacting with nature. Now, as my consciousness of nature heals and grows, I have a greater awareness of God that is all around me, materialized and particularized as, at least for a time, as what we call nature. And as an extension of universal mind in this human phase, and knowing I live in a reciprocal universe, I am of nature and nature is of me. So it seems like a time to revisit some isms and the science of mind and spirit, the theology, the ism, and it's really the same ism that is an ism that applies to all of New Thought, the New Thought movement, but it's not new, because it's the same ism that is the theology of Hinduism or mystical Judaism known as the Kabbalah. And that ism is panentheism. And panentheism is an extension or maybe a springboard up beyond pantheism. So pantheism is a doctrine which identifies God with the universe or regards the universe as a manifestation of God. Panentheism is the doctrine that God is greater than the universe and includes and interpenetrates it, that the divine intersects every part of the universe and also extends beyond space and time. So when I mention isms or theology or ontology, I try to relate this terminology to everyday living, right? Nice fancy 50-cent words. What does it mean to you and to me? Well, the science of mind is a teaching and a philosophy and a way of life. And that teaching, philosophy, and a way of life is one that is intended to heal and grow your consciousness. Ernest Holmes, the founder of the science of mind, synthesized a process that was derived from 19th century New Thought works here in the United States and parts of Europe. And he synthesized that with ancient wisdom, right? And the idea is not new, but we apply metaphysical principles to your life through simple spiritual practices. And it's really just building off of be transformed through the renewing of your mind. So what is mind? Well, mind in the science of mind is the universal mind that is local to you and to me. Spiritual practices tend to heal any stinking thinking. In place of that, it tends to create constructive and positive thinking. And spiritual practices start with the God of your understanding. So to begin with, God is the all good in your life. Whatever good you can imagine, that you recall, that you experience, that you notice in your life, that is the God operative in your life, and therefore the God of your understanding. So spiritual practices will heal and nurture and grow that understanding. So each time you meditate, each time you treat or affirm or pray, each time you do some form of spiritual study, or maybe you're using journaling as a spiritual practice, each time you vision, meaning you ask yourself, what is the divine high idea in this moment, for this day, in my life, in my work, in my relationships? What is the divine high idea? And as you rest with that, the quality, the character of God that vision brings forth is what comes forward in your life. And as you give yourself over to sacred service or see your spiritual counselor, see your practitioner, as you give or tithe as a spiritual practice, and as you're doing right now, joining together in beloved community, all of this is healing and growing your consciousness. And the overarching intention is for you to know and live God that is already within you, that surrounds you, that you live spirit as a love, a peace, a joy, a compassion that exceeds all conscious understanding. For you are pure spirit at your essence. As we know, the water is essential to the kind of life we know here and now on earth. And from the dawn of humanity, water has come to be a universal symbol of the flow of the supernatural life. It becomes a symbol of the circulation of living spirit. It is that stream of consciousness, stream being the operative word, that heals and grows and creates your best life. And the good of God is like a river of these qualities of affluence, of abundance, of prosperity, of artistry and creativity, of line and balance and order and power. It is like a stream, a river of the qualities of beauty and wisdom and freedom and health and well-being and compassion. And it is flowing in you, it is flowing to you and through you as your consciousness, as you are able and ready to be and live those qualities. You know, Yeshua's apostle John tells this famous story of the Samaritan woman at the well. And as you probably know, of the four synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, John is perhaps the most metaphysical. John is the one that is being esoteric and being philosophical. And it becomes obvious in the dialogue between Yeshua and the Samaritan woman that this is really about spiritual teaching and consciousness. It's not just about water at the well. And after a few exchanges in their dialogue, and they are both talking about their respective predecessors, the status quo of the teaching of the time, there comes a kind of a turning point in the conversation when Yeshua says this, "But whoever drinks of the water which I give, you shall never thirst. But the same water which I give you shall become in you a well of water springing up to life everlasting." Pretty powerful stuff. Yeshua is making a pitch here for a new teaching, for a new spirituality that doesn't depend on dogma or credo or intercessionaries. And this new spirituality is a direct connection, a direct communion to that one life. So to paraphrase this in the form of a spiritual teaching, it is to say, but whoever learns of the new teaching I give you, this is Yeshua saying this just using the direct language, but whoever learns of the new teaching I give you, you shall never need more. But the same teaching which I give you shall become in you a well of consciousness that leads to life everlasting. So you might affirm this with that encounter that you have with nature that is water. So here is a first of a few affirmations I'm sharing with you today. I drink the healing waters of living spirit. So allow the water to not only support your body temple, but be open to a transformative flow of new thought. That's kind of what Yeshua was saying and using that metaphor of water at the well. Now, one of the customs of the ancient Hebrews was a ritual cleansing in a blessed pool called a mikveh, and the practice was to immerse the person in this blessed water. And the Torah specified, which of these impurities needed to be ritually cleansed in this way. And there were other forms of ritual cleansing that didn't involve a mikveh, but the mikveh was one that applied to these certain impurities. And it was still something that was a ritual that was symbolic of something. The ancient Hebrews were very concerned about keeping their teaching true to its origin and its prophecies. They were very concerned about the teaching becoming distorted or diluted if it was kind of blended with other teachings of the day or other teachings that might by happenstance come along. But in the Hebrew tradition and in Judaism, the teaching is deliberately advanced through prophecy, right? Now, accepting what is prophecy and then integrating into the Hebrew teaching is a kind of a lengthy process. And so over time, the arc of Judaism does evolve more and more metaphysically. It departs more and more from dogma and credo. But at the time of Yeshua, it had been approximately 500 years since any prophecy was accepted into the Hebrew teaching. And folks like Yeshua and John the Baptizer felt Judaism had become static and rigid and dogmatic, and both felt called to move Judaism forward, with or without the blessing of the Hebrew leadership. So John the Baptizer began using this ritual immersion process, again sort of springboarding off the idea of the mikveh, but instead of doing it in a mikveh, which would possibly been blasphemous in the way that John the Baptizer was doing it, but he was baptizing folks in a river. And what the baptism process was intended, in part, to help folks open to a new spirituality, to sort of break free from that dogma and that rigidness of the Hebrew teachings of the day. Yeshua was one of the folks that John the Baptizer baptized in this way. And that experience, as it's relayed in the Synoptic Gospels, was that moment of clarity that Yeshua had in his ministry. And his ministry then, he was clear, was advancing beyond the Judaism of his time. So with every shower, with every bath, with every swim, with every dip you have, with that part of nature that is water, you might affirm this: I swim in the healing waters of living spirit. As I immerse in the waters of living spirit, I survive and I thrive. Now, water that is within you and water that nourishes all of nature is the simile and the metaphor for living spirit that is within you, and is the same living spirit that is in everything in the world around you. And therefore, with every rain or river or lake or bay or ocean you encounter, you might affirm something like this: as healing waters of living spirit flow through me, I survive and I thrive. Now, as it is known to humans, nature, stardust organized as you and me, organized as plants, as animals, and the earth. And this is all one phase of the one life. They all happen to, intersect and occur while we're having this earthly phase of our soul's journey. But it is a phase of the one life in part, and is part of an ongoing grand organizing principle. It is the self-giving nature of the infinite creative that creates the entire universe. And therefore, this phase of your soul's evolution includes learning to be an excellent steward of the blessings already so in your life. You eat well and exercise to be an excellent steward of your body temple. And you do that in part so that you can engage in spiritual practices that grow your consciousness, which means you're being an excellent student of your thoughts and your feelings and beliefs. And you do that so that you can be an excellent steward of the world in which you and I now live. And so being that excellent steward means an appreciation and a gratitude for all the good, all the God in you and as your life. It means to bless the world as you are blessed. So then affirm, I am grateful for the healing waters of living spirit flowing through me. So let's turn our attention in prayer. And just knowing that God is all there is. I know that God is the infinite creator, and God is all the creation. And in that, all creation is imbued and surrounded by God. God is a living spirit alive in all of nature. The love, peace, joy, and compassion of living spirit flows like a divine water through all creation and all consciousness. And knowing that is God, I know that I am in this divine flow. And what is true for me is true for all beings everywhere. Therefore, you are also in this divine flow. Every person, place, and thing is simultaneously, naturally, and supernaturally alive in living spirit. So I speak my word that the water in our lives is appreciated, blessed, and it is also powerfully transformative. I know and trust that you and I commune with the one life as we commune with nature. My intention to be an excellent steward of water and of all nature means I am an excellent steward of my consciousness. I greet living spirit and all of nature as living spirit lovingly returns the greeting, for that is the holy circulation of the one life. So feeling in the flow and the circulation of that all good, I just bless the world as I am blessed. I give thanks for this answered prayer, for this communion, this connection in spirit through nature. And I release my word into the law of mind in action, knowing as it is spoken, it is so. That affinity for nature, that blessing of water, is transforming heart and mind right now. The greater good of God, the love and light of living spirit, appears strong and bright right here and right now. And now it is, and so it is. I let it be. Amen. Well, thank you so much for joining us here today. You have a wonderful... And yes, again, thanks. Just a quick reminder that Prayer with a Practitioner, I think, is available after service in the Zoom meeting. For those that are joined in the Zoom meeting, we are here for you. And remember our open house next Sunday from 2 to 6 p.m. And I just want to conclude at least this part of our gathering today with a prayer raised in song. And a prayer raised in song is a prayer prayed twice. So here we go.
This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand.
Well, thanks to the live streamers for joining us here today. Please visit our website at vidaslc.org. You have a wonderful week, and we will see you here next time. Thank you.